All right, let's dive into something kind of mind-bending today. We're going to talk about the illusion of purpose. I mean, you see it everywhere, right? In the elegance of nature, in the power of our technology. But what if what looks like a grand plan is actually something else entirely? Just a trick of how we see things?
So let's start with this. A virus. Is it a brilliant designer or just an incredibly lucky survivor? Seriously, think about it. When you see how perfectly effective it is, it's so hard not to imagine some kind of intelligence behind it. But is there really a mind behind the madness, or is something else at play here?
And this really gets to the core of the problem. As Frank put it in the source material, the fit is too perfect. It doesn't feel like dice. That spike protein on a virus, it fits our cells like a key sliding right into a lock. It's so precise that it just feels intentional, doesn't it? It doesn't feel random.
Okay, so this feeling, let's give it a name. We'll call it the perfect fit illusion. And it's a really powerful trap our brains can fall into. So our job today is to figure out exactly how it works. And here is the big idea, the core argument we're going to explore. That feeling of intention, it's what compressed information looks like when it survives long enough. So the design we think we see, it's not from some genius mind planning ahead. No, it's just the leftover evidence of everything that didn't get wiped out. It's the result of this incredibly brutal cosmic editing process.
So if creation isn't the creator, then what is? Well, it's the exact opposite. The real force doing the work here is the power of deletion.
Okay, let's get a key term on the table. A filter-trained molecule. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. Just think about that virus again. It's not planning anything, it's just randomly changing, mutating, that's the noise. But every now and then, a mutation just happens to work really well. That version survives, and that survival, that's the memory. So the molecule gets trained, not by a teacher, but by the simple, brutal filter of what works and what doesn't.
And this is so important to grasp. We're all familiar with one way to create something: intelligent design. You know, a mind has a goal and builds a solution. But there's this other way, this incredibly powerful process, evolution by deletion. It's a totally different logic. It's not about building the right thing. It's about getting rid of everything that's wrong until only the thing that fits is left.
Yeah, I love this quote. The universe forgets everything that doesn't work. It really gets to the heart of it, you know? The world we see, it isn't some gallery of amazing successes. It's just the stuff that's left over from an unimaginable number of failures that have been completely erased from history.
This is such a great way to think about it. The world isn't built, it's chiseled. Imagine a sculptor with a giant raw block of marble. That block is entropy. It contains every possible shape, all the chaos. And selection, that's the chisel. It just chips and chips and chips away everything that isn't the final statue. And what's left behind looks like it was designed, but it was actually revealed by taking things away.
Okay, so now let's broaden this out a bit, because this idea, this principle, it's not just for viruses. It is a fundamental algorithm that's running inside all life. It's running inside you and me right now.
So you can see this algorithm playing out on two totally different speeds. You've got evolution, which is the super slow version, right? Selection happening over millions of years across countless generations. But then you've got epigenetics. That's the fast version. That's your body inside your own lifetime deciding which genes to switch on or off based on your environment, things like stress or what you eat. It's the exact same process of selection, just running on a way, way faster clock. So why do we fall for this illusion all the time? Well, it's because our brains have this handy little shortcut that they evolved. The rule is simple. If something sticks around and seems to work, just assume it has a purpose. This was great for our ancestors trying not to get eaten. You know, this agency detection kept them safe. But it has a side effect. It makes us see intention everywhere, even when there's only the cold, hard result of selection. All right, now for the part that's going to blow your mind. This ancient algorithm, this fundamental process of life, it's found a brand new home. We're about to see how this exact same thing is happening right now inside of artificial intelligence. I mean, look at this. The parallels are just undeniable. In biology, you've got random mutations to explore new possibilities. And in AI, you've got tiny random adjustments to its internal connections, its weights. In nature, the filter is the environment. Can you survive? And in AI, the filter is something called a loss function, basically just a math equation that says, how wrong are you? And the result? In both cases, it's the survival of whatever works best.
This might be the single best way to understand what an LLM is actually doing. It's not thinking. It's definitely not understanding in the way we do. It's simply statistical survival inside a mathematical ecosystem. It's a blur of high-speed trial and error in a world made of numbers. And all that stuff that sounds so intelligent, it's just the pattern that made it through the filter. It's what survived.
So where does all this leave us? We've seen the exact same pattern in a virus, in our own DNA, and in a piece of silicon. And the conclusion is kind of hard to escape. You can get something that looks for all the world like it has a purpose without any actual thinker, any conscious mind pulling the strings.
But why is this illusion so powerful? Why are we so wired to see it? Well, it's because our brains are basically agency detection machines. Think about our ancestors on the savannah. If you hear a rustle in the grass, is it the wind or is it a lion? Assuming it's a lion, assuming there's an agent with an intention, is a way better survival strategy. So now, when we see complex patterns like efficiency or precision, our brain's default setting is to go, a mind must have done that. And that's the key thing to remember. There are really only two ways to get this kind of complex, ordered result. The first is intention, which we're really good at spotting. But the second, the one we so often miss, is selection.
And that brings us to the big reveal, the aha moment of this whole thing. It all comes down to this incredibly simple four-step loop, a universal algorithm. Step 1, explore, try everything. Step 2, select, figure out what works. Step 3, preserve, keep that working version. And step 4, repeat, over and over and over. That's it. That's the engine humming away under viruses, under our bodies, and under AI.
Okay, but so what, right? That's the real question. We've gone through this pretty mind-bending idea, but why does any of this actually matter in the real world? Why should you care? Because it completely changes the questions we should be asking. The next time you look at a disease, or a weird behavior from an AI, or even something about your own biology, stop asking who designed this. Instead, start asking what survived long enough to look designed. What was the brutal filter? What was the pressure that left this specific thing standing here today?
And that leads to a pretty stunning way to think about ourselves. As Frank puts it, then purpose is just survival that learned to talk. Maybe all our grand ideas about purpose and meaning, maybe they're just the story that a particularly successful survival pattern learned to tell about itself.
And the force behind it all? Entropy is the author that never signs its name. It's the ultimate creator through destruction, the silent sculptor, chipping away at reality, leaving behind only the things that happen to work, which we then look at and call masterpieces of design. Thanks for digging into this with me.